Shocking new details about Hulk Hogan and what might have happened the day that his son Nick got into a terrible car crash. Showbiz Tonight has obtained a new police report about what happened that day. Could the Hulk be in hot water? With me tonight in New York, Ashley Benfield, host of Court TV's Hollywood Heat. Also in New York, Jane Velez-Mitchell, investigative journalist and author of this book, Secrets Can Be Murder. Ashley, Jane, welcome to you both. Now we know the Clearwater Police in Florida released a whopping 130-some page report on Nick Bolea's, Hulk Hogan's son, devastating car accident that left his friend paralyzed in a vegetative state. And as we know, Nick was later arrested. It turns out earlier in that day, Hulk had gone boating with his son and some friends, and before they went, Hulk bought some beer. Take a look at what the police found out. A receipt obtained by police shows that 5 cases of beer, about $78 worth, was purchased prior to the crash. Also, a clerk at the store tells police Hulk was the one who paid for the beer. And police also found alcohol in Nick's system after the car crash, although it was below the legal limit. But the Hulk's son, just 17 years old. Jane, how damaging is all of this?
Well, Brooke, I think it's important to point out while the son has faced charges in connection with this very tragic accident, Hulk Hogan has not been charged with anything at this point, but it certainly doesn't make him look good. As a parent, he shouldn't be encouraging his son or looking the other way when his son drinks. And if you take a look at this combo, a young boy underage who has been encouraged to race, as we saw on the reality show, and then ply him with alcohol, and then let him get behind the wheel of a supercharged sports car and take off, that is a prescription for disaster. We don't know if it's a crime on the part of Hulk Hogan. These are just accusations at this point, but it certainly is very, very poor judgment.
Ashley, what do you think? Could it ruin them? How damaging is this?
Well, a lot of things could happen here. Number one, we could see charges coming down the pike if it is determined that Hulk Hogan bought alcohol for his 17-year-old son. It's illegal. You just can't do it. Does it rise to the level of causing the accident several hours? And I think by my calculations, about 4.5 hours later. I don't think so, because right now, that son has not been charged with anything other than felony reckless driving. No alcohol, no issues with that driving. So to extrapolate that the family of the victim in that crash could go after Hulk Hogan for all his money because he bought beer in the afternoon that apparently isn't really connected to the incident itself, it's a bit of a stretch. Not saying that it isn't there, but it is a bit of a stretch.
Well, the police report has a lot of witnesses who saw Nick and his friends that day on the boat with some of them drinking beer. Jane, as Ashley said, you know, whether any of this contributed to the crash is unclear, but certainly it doesn't make the Hulk look good.
No, there should be a clear delineation, Brooke, between being a buddy and being a parent. And I think there was a little confusion there. You do not look the other way when your underage son is drinking. But I have to tell you, it is America's dirty little secret that a lot of parents do precisely that. And the reason that they do it, and I'm not saying this is true in Hulk Hogan's case, but the reason a lot of parents do look the other way is that they drink. And if they tell their teenage kids, don't drink, that smart aleck is going to turn around and say, well, what about you, Dad? You drink. And they don't want to have to look at themselves. So it's easier for them to let their teenage children drink and look the other way. It's a big problem, and America needs to look at it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like responsible behavior. As you said, we're not sure if this is what happened, though, in Hulk's case at this time. But all of this comes after Hulk's wife just filed for divorce. Ashley, I know this is kind of asking you to speculate, but what do you think? Is it possible that his wife, Linda, knew this was coming, and it could have been the final straw, the pressure from this situation?
Well, it could be that, Brooke, or it could be something more strategic. If you think about it, let's say they divorce. Let's say she wipes him out and gets all the assets. Let's say then there's a civil judgment, and I'm not saying there will because I really don't see this, but there's a civil judgment against Hulk Hogan. All of a sudden, he's not in possession of all the assets anymore. She is. It could be strategic. I don't know. That's something that a lot of people are speculating about. But look, I don't want to get inside anyone else's business. I don't know what goes on inside that household, despite the fact they've been all over reality TV.
Right, and we may never know what the exact reason would be for the filing for divorce. And, you know, even though Nick was below the legal limit, if alcohol is determined to be connected with the crash, Jane, very quickly, could the Hulk be in trouble?
I think he could be, but it's too early to tell. The devil's in the details. We have to see if anybody actually saw him physically handing a bottle of alcohol to his son. It's a tragedy all the way around.
It certainly is a horrific situation. One man's life will never, ever be the same. That man in a vegetative state right now. Jane Velez Mitchell, Ashley Banfield, thank you both.
Thanks, Brooke.